Welcome to the walkthrough.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Week 3 edition of The Walkthrough. I'm your host, the authentic one, Mr. Matty, Kiwoom, and I'm joined, of course, by the host of America's Game. You know him, you love him, host of Starter Shit, my new favorite show, my man, Eric Vanek. Eric, what's going on, my friend?
Not much, man. Just looking forward to getting into Week 3, who we're going to play here this week, because I got a couple good games, so yeah, get excited to get into it.
Yeah, this is where me and Eric now, because, you know, I missed week 1 and start shit. I'm on week 2, on week 3, hope to be on pretty much every single week. And you forget about the adrenaline rush that is to actually holding ourselves accountable, scoring points, having percentages reflected. Shout out T-Rock for keeping track. We were talking about it off air. It's honestly the most fun. And this is where we prep everybody. This is where Eric and I will come together for an hour, go game by game here in the walkthrough, talk a little betting, mostly fantasy sports, who we like, who we don't, start sits, and we're getting primed for Sunday. So let's get it. You know, this is where we do it, baby. And, of course, if you're in the chat, if you have a lineup question, you have a roster question, anything, throw it in the chat. We will answer it. We are here to help you guys. So shout out to Peter, shout out to Tom, and, of course, Super Chats get you to the top of the leaderboard. Eric, let's get into game number 1 of the Week 3 slate. Divisional opponents. The NFC South battle here. The Atlanta Falcons 1-1 head to Carolina to take on the 0-2 Panthers. Falcons minus 5.5 as the away favorite. Over under 43.5. And the Atlanta Falcons are minus 218. Panthers plus 80 on the money line. Let's start with the visiting Falcons. Last week, we all believed that there was going to be more points in Sunday Night Football, Atlanta versus Vikings. Atlanta's defense just wreaked havoc, causing the game to be, basically Bijan and nothing else. What do you see happening in this week? Could we see a repeat performance, or is Bryce Young good enough to keep this game back and forth?
I want to say it's going to be a little bit more high-scoring back and forth. I'm hoping for at least. I think last week, Penix, that's his first time up against Brian Flores. Like, they only put up, 22 points. He only had, barely 100 yards. I think it was going to be a tough test for him no matter what. Now, this week, going up against a weaker Carolina defense on the road, all that good stuff. He's got pretty much all of his weapons are healthy. Mooney's back. Pitts is in there. Bijan, London. Everybody's good to go. I think this is going to be a big Penix week, so that's probably one of my top plays of the week is Penix. But I like London. I like Pitts. I like Bijan. If you got to throw Mooney in as a flex, I don't hate it. So, yeah.
Big Penix week. Clip it, someone out there. Clip that shit. Let me ask you, though, quarterback for quarterback, let's just say you have both Penix and Bryce Young. You can only start one. Which one are you starting? Is it Penix for sure?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Penix. I just can't trust Bryce Young. Unless you can project, hey, he's going to have to throw 50 times, in comeback mode, then it's hard to do. But he might have to do that in this one. I
agree with you. I'm going to go with Penix. I got him ranked significantly higher than Bryce Young. And everything you talked about with the Falcons, right now, 3 games in, yeah, it kind of stunk to have Drake London, Darnell Mooney. Pitts didn't really fire last week, but you're also not shying away. You mentioned it. You're kind of putting them all in, including, I got Mooney in a few leagues, so I'm going to put him in my flex. So you're going to play your Falcons until further notice. But one guy you didn't really talk about, Algier. Great game last week in week 2. Is it Algier or the rest? Is that kind of the correlation we're going to have to make this season, where if Algier does good, that means they just ran the living shit out of it, or he doesn't do well and they throw the ball? Is that kind of what we're living in?
Yeah, I think that's what we're probably going to be living in. And, they were up pretty much that whole game because the, Vikings couldn't do anything on offense, so that's why he was able to get a little bit more work there. They were just trying to run that ball.
All right, on the Panthers side of things, we talked about Bryce. He's really not a star. I don't even have him as a QB2 right now. I do like him as a short-term potential injury replacement type of person, because the schedule after this week does get a little bit lighter for Bryce Young. He can have some points, and we did see him do well in the second half in garbage time in fantasy. We don't care if it's garbage time. We're going to start it off. Chuba Hubbard, play, right? We're going to keep playing Chuba Hubbard all year long. He's just a lock-solid RB2. Yep. But I do want to talk about the pass catchers here for the Panthers quickly. Is Ted McMillan a top 10 receiver?
Oh, he's getting the targets like he is one. I would say probably more I'd feel comfortable more top 15, top 20ish, than top 10. But yeah, he's right knocking on the door. He's been really good so far.
I feel like in both weeks, the targets were there. 2 absurd catches that didn't count, just showing off his, potential.
Right.
I think, yeah, you might be right. He might be too early to dub him a rest of season top 10 guy, but man, he's looked good so far.
And no AJ Terrell, I believe, this week either
Big.
again. So yeah, that'll be big for Tet.
Yeah, good call. Way to bring that up. And then I want to talk to you about Jatavian because Jatavian Sanders had a little bit of heat coming into the season. Week 1, dud. Week 2, targets were pretty significant. Wasn't super efficient, but we want targets at this position. Are we starting him with confidence this week? And is he someone that people need to add in redraft to make sure that he could be your fail-safe if you don't have a good tight end?
Yeah, I think he's like a solid backup tight end. If I'm starting him this week, I don't know, just because I think a lot of it had to do with last week, just the game script. They got down early and had to throw a ton. Like Renfro got 10 targets. Xavier Legette had 8 targets for -2 yards. However the hell you do that. Sanders had whatever his 9 targets. So
Yeah, he had a lot of targets.
I think it had a lot more to do with game script. But I do like Sanders. I think he has gotten better in his second year for sure.
Are you starting this week if you need one, Jatavian Sanders or Mark Andrews?
Jatavian Sanders. I'm not starting Andrews. No way.
We'll get into more Mark Andrews talk later on when we get to that game. Let's move on here. The Green Bay Packers 2-0. They look like a powerhouse. They head to Cleveland to take on, you guessed it, the 0-2 Browns. The Browns keep Brown, and I'm sorry, Eric.
Yeah.
Packers -8.5, big time favorites. Over under 41.5. Money line here, -500 for the Packers, +380 for the Browns, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. This over-under does not really scream bonanza, but it could be an ass-kicking. So are we just going to start our Packers in kind of just, if you've been relying on a Love, if you've been relying on a Tucker Craft, we're just going right back to the well?
Yeah, I think this one's a little different because if you look at the Browns the first 2 weeks against Chase Brown and Derrick Henry, they've shut down the run game both games. Like Derrick Henry had 25 yards or whatever it was last week. The Packers, they want to run the ball. Jacobs has been their heart and soul of their offense the last 2 seasons. So if the Browns can shut that down, I think Jordan Love's going to have to throw the ball a little bit more in this one. And if they do what Lamar Jackson did this last week and went crazy, I think the Browns are going to have to be a little bit in catch-up mode. But if they can't run the ball and their pass game isn't as great, like it could be a little bit of a closer game than people were thinking.
It's gonna be an interesting battle because Josh Jacobs on 10 straight games with a touchdown, something like that.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be the test. Can that streak end? Will it end this week, week 3? It's an interesting point you bring up. Tucker Kraft tweaks his knee on Thursday practice. Reports already coming out from the big dogs that it was just a scare. He's just fine. He was so good last week. Where do you have him this week? Is he a must-start player even with the knee tweak?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to wait to see on Sunday if he's going to play or not. Honestly, they don't need him to win this week. If they just want to say, hey, let's shut it down 1 week. It's the fucking Cleveland Browns. We're going to go in there and smack these guys around. Let's let Musgrave just play a week. You take an easy week off here. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. But, if you have him, it's hard not to start him after that big game last week. So unless you have an option that's just as solid, like if you drafted, Kraft and Njoku or something like that, or Kraft and you picked up Fannin, I don't know if I can go and start Jatavian Sanders over Kraft.
I agree. I had him ranked as my tight end 1 of the week. I have dropped him since the report. Still in my top 5 though, so I'm not quite dropping him out yet. But with that injury news, I agree with you. If they go up a couple scores, why risk it? If he just feels a little sore in the third, take a few off. They got Musgrave, they got the weapons, they got all that. But speaking of the pass catchers, Matthew Golden has been absolutely cheeks in fantasy. Are you starting any wide receiver for the Packers right now?
I know in a couple leagues I have to throw Golden in, and no Jaden Reed, so I'm hoping that's going to help Golden get a little bit going here. If you've seen some of the stuff on X, people are talking about Golden. Oh, he's been wide open. It's just they've missed him or whatever. It's coming, and I think this could be a week where he could finally, pop off for a touchdown or so. So I am throwing him in. I've thrown some Romeo Dobbs in. Don't have much Dontavian Wicks, but I wouldn't mind like him as a flex play, kind of like in the same mold as Darnell Mooney, who we talked about earlier.
And on the Browns side of things, Quinshon Judkins, first game back last week. Limited touches, but damn, he made quite a bit out of him. I know the big run did come in garbage time, but still, looked pretty good throughout. Are we immediately going right to the Quinshon Judkins? Well, if you drafted him in the 5th, 6th round and redrafted, you saying, all right, you got to get in there right now.
Yeah, I think I'm putting him in as an RB2 this week for sure. I think the Browns, I'm praying that they saw enough of Jerome Ford to where, okay, you're going to kickoffs, buddy. Enough of you in the backfield. We're not giving you all these touches. Just give it to the rookies, give it to Judkins and Sampson, and let's move on with our lives.
I agree with that. We're not starting Flacco, but he has been throwing the ball a ton, so that's been good for the pass catchers.
Yeah, I kind of think they might have to come back in this game, so
Yeah.
I could see Flacco, walking into 300 passing yards at some point, just coming back in comeback mode. So if you, lost one of these quarterbacks this week, there's like 4 or 5 of them we've lost for the week. And you had to pick somebody up. I don't hate Flacco.
Joe Flacco or Jake Browning? You lost Joe Burrow. Who are you starting this week?
I think I go Flacco because Browning's going up against that Brian Flores defense, man. That's a tough defense.
That is a damn tough defense. All right, let's talk about the pass catchers, though. Tillman, Judy. Are we playing them? Are we happy about them? Then talking about the tight ends.
Yeah, like I said, I think this could be a little bit of a catch-up mode game. So if you got to start Judy as a wide receiver 3, Tillman as a flex, I don't hate it. And Njoku is still, a top Flacco target, so I think he's still, a back-end tight end 1. Fannin, I don't mind playing either. If, like, you have, some of these tight ends, you've drafted a tight end late. Fannin was the guy you picked up off of waivers, and he's the best tight end you got. Like, I don't mind playing those guys because I think they're going to have to throw a little bit to get it back in this game.
Still early, but so
Yeah.
far in the season, the Packers have been pretty poor against tight ends again. Still early, so it's tough to really talk about matchups here, but I like the tight ends here. All right, before we move on to the next game, we got some questions in the chat. First, let's start with my guy CM here because he does have a good idea that we should have a little graphic at the bottom with a specific game that we're talking about to keep track. I do smell what you're cooking, CM. I do like that. I think that's something we could definitely talk about, Eric, because that would make a hell of a lot of sense to keep track.
For sure.
But he does have a start-sit question, so we're going to answer our guy here because he gave us a nice tip. We go Tucker Kraft or Dalton Kincaid tonight? You got to make a decision tonight.
Yeah, I think you probably have to go with Kincaid just because you don't know about Kraft. If these are your only 2 options, and you don't want to pick up somebody to play. So I don't hate it. Like, if you got to play Kincaid over Kraft, like, I think that's what you got to do. I think that's a smarter play.
And also, CM, make sure you check your waiver wire because if a Juwan Johnson just hadn't been picked up yet, or if one of the, Jatavian Sanders, maybe even a Brenton Strange, if there's a comparable tight end substitute that gives you the luxury of waiting on Kraft, because if he comes back full practice tomorrow, we're going to be pissed that we started Dalton Kincaid and got all 6 of his fantasy points. So I'm looking at free agency, CM. So go check your free agency, get back to us, and we'll make a decision. We'll help you out. We got one more, a trade question. Our first trade question in the walkthrough. We're going to talk about it real quick, though. He got offered Chris Olave for Chris Godwin. Are you taking it?
Oh, yeah, easy. I'm taking Olave over Godwin for sure. Just the youth, all the targets that he's been getting right now. Godwin's pushing 30. I think he's 29 now. He's got a Buka he's got to deal with now on top of Evans. So, yeah, I'm taking Olave. Pretty easy here.
Olave is one of my best buy low candidates, especially in redraft right now. I mean, double-digit targets both weeks. We'll talk more about it and when we get to that game.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the Houston Texans. They're 0-2, but they head down to Jacksonville to take on the 1-1 Jaguars. Basically a pick'em game, a plus 1.5 for the road team. Over under 44.5. If you want some juice, you can get some with the Texans, plus 105, minus 125 for the Jaguars. Let's start with the Houston Texans side. If you see the thumbnail, you know we're going to talk about it. Is C.J. Stroud a bust for fantasy football?
As of right now, yes, but I think this might be the week where he finally gets it back on track a little bit. Jaguars defense isn't that great. So yeah, I think I'm going with it. Like Browning did pretty good against them last week coming back. I think Stroud and Nico finally get on page this week, and I like the Texans plus 1.5 in this one.
A little get right game. So I mean, if you with the point, you might as well take the juice because you're not getting juice with points. You're minus 112 there. So if you feel good about Texans out there, you gotta
just take a money line.
Get that little extra spread here. At the running back position, not a bad game from Nick Chubb. A flash from Woody Marks, but we're not starting Woody Marks yet. We're not even really all that pumped yet in redraft, right?
No, but Chubb's a solid RB2 and a good matchup here, so yeah.
Yeah, Chubb was a pretty good game last week, and he definitely has a good matchup now.
Yeah.
All right, will the wide receivers talk to me? Christian Kirk supposedly back this week. If he is, are you starting him in your deeper formats, maybe a 12-team with 2 flex?
No, I want to see it first before I play him. We're not in bye week territory yet, so we're not missing a bunch of guys. So I'm sure I have players that I can play over Christian Kirk, just to see how it looks.
And of course, you're firing up Nico Collins every week.
Yeah, I think Nico, you're firing up. I don't hate Dalton Schultz. Like if you're in a tight end jam, if you had like Goddard or something like that, and he's not going to play, I don't mind Schultz.
Okay. And on the Jaguars side of things, they've been a bit frustrating. It's really just been Travis Etienne. Nothing else has really come to fruition. So we're going to play Etienne. We're going to go back to that well. Talk to me about Trevor Lawrence and talk to me about his pass catchers.
Yeah, Lawrence, that's a tough one for me this week because I think this is a really good Texans secondary. Brian Thomas hasn't been looking good. Travis Hunter's been playing more on defense, not getting in there. Diami Brown's look good, though. So it's hard to not play Brian Thomas. I think you got to play him, but he's probably going to get locked up with Stingley the whole game, so that's not very good. Travis Hunter, I've thrown him in a couple flex spots, but if you have more consistent options, I think I go there. Diami Brown's not a bad flex option. Brenton Strange, like we talked about, he's been a solid 8 to 10 points every week, so he's been good. And I don't mind Tootin if you have to play him as like an RB2 flex play. I don't mind Bashal Tootin.
Yeah, he made a big play out of not a whole lot of volume. We saw the explosive, the toughness. Real quick on Travis Hunter, these are some of the names I'm starting over Travis Hunter. I just want to get your quick yay or nay on it. Wan'Dale Robinson, Keenan Allen, and I am also playing Chris Olave all over Travis Hunter with these.
Yeah, I like Olave. Keenan Allen's been, even though he's got a tough matchup, it's a little easier matchup, I think, for him. So, yeah, I'm good with Keenan Allen. And then the first one was
Wan'Dale Robinson.
Wan'Dale. Yeah, I don't mind Wan'Dale over him just because it is against the Chiefs, and they're pretty good at stopping the run. So I think if the Giants are going to have to get back into that one, they're going to have to throw. So I like Wan'Dale.
All right, we'll talk more about those players when we get to their games. Yep. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, 2-0, surprisingly, but no Joe Burrow. But they head to Minnesota to take on the 1-1 Vikings. Vikings 3-point home favorites, over under 42.5. And if you want some juice, you can get some on the Bengals side, plus 136, but the Vikings are minus 162. No Joe Burrow, in Jake Browning. What does that mean for this offense?
Yeah, I think this week for me personally, I think I kind of like the under, and that is just because Browning's going up against Flores. Like, they don't give up a ton of points. You got Wentz in his first game. Like, we don't know how he's going to look. He hasn't really played in 2 years. I just don't know how it's going to look for Carson Wentz, with the Vikings. He's got the weapons around him. There's no question about that, but I've had to bench some of those weapons. We'll get to it when we talk to Minnesota side. But Bengal side, yeah, if you lost Burrow and you don't have anybody else to throw Browning in, I don't mind it. He still has Chase and Higgins. I'm playing those guys for sure. Chase Brown, I've kind of heard is more of an RB2 this week, and I think that's probably about right. That's probably where he's been the first 2 weeks. He's been very inefficient so far. And any of the tight ends, I can't play them.
Agreed. I've dropped Chase Brown. He's at running back 15 for me this week after letting me down so heavy last week. What I will say about him is you're definitely still starting him in pretty much all formats. This is a super, super, super shallow league. The Vikings defense has not been that great against the run.
Yeah.
Problem is, though, the Bengals have not been that good at running the ball. So which
Yeah.
levee breaks in the system? I don't know
Yeah,
exactly right. So,
I mean, the Vikings really upgraded that defensive line in the offseason. So I just think that's maybe they just need to gel a little bit more. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to bet on Flores and his defensive scheme and all that. Like, he's been rock solid ever since he's been in the league. So
this game was circled just a month ago, and it was JJ versus Burrow. It was Jefferson versus Chase, and Higgins versus Addison. And now it is Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz. And I am hammering the under with you.
Yeah.
42.5 seems high to me. I felt like after the injuries, this would be in the 30, maybe 39, maybe 40 and a half.
6 touchdowns.
That's a lot of points to be scored. So I'm with you. I'm going with the under here. Yeah. On the Viking side of things, no J.J. McCarthy, no Aaron Jones. Talk to me. We're going to start with Mason because I think a lot of people had him on his bench and they're wondering if they should just put him right in. Is he a locked in, top 24 running back this week? And then we'll talk about the pass catcher. So what do you think about Jordan Mason this week?
Yeah, I'm definitely popping Jordan Mason in every lineup I can. I would probably play him over Chase Brown. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. So I would probably have him as like a, you had him at 14, probably like 12, somewhere in that range is probably where I'd have Mason. No?
No, you are looking at my rankings literally right now. I have him at running back 12. I have Mason at running back 12, yep.
Yep, so I like that. I think you got to play Jefferson no matter what. That's your stud.
Yep.
I can't play any other receiver, and I've sat Hawkinson in pretty much all of my leagues. Like I had Juwan Johnson and Hawkinson on the same team. I'm putting Juwan Johnson in. Would I play? I'd probably play Kincaid tonight over Hawkinson. Like they haven't been going to him. I know that they haven't run a lot of plays. I think that has a lot to do with it too. But I mean, Hawkinson hasn't done very good this year so far.
Can I ask you something about Jalen Naylor?
Sure.
What? I haven't found any bits of news, but why does Sleeper have him projected for 9.5, 10 points?
I mean, he's their only wide receiver too. Like Thielen has hardly been used at all. I don't know. Like Jalen Naylor's actually had some catches, I guess.
He has 10 points on the season. In all of my going through my fab a couple days ago, I'm just kind of making my waiver wire pickups. I keep seeing him at the top projected 10 points. I'm like, what? I'm not spending money on Jalen Naylor. Does he have 10 points? Anyway, I'm with you. We're not.
He'll be gone next week when Addison comes back. He'll be fine.
That is factually correct. All right, let's move on to the next game here. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're 1-1. They head to my neck of the woods to take on the 1-1 New England Patriots. Patriots getting 1.5 at home. Over under 44.5 stuck out to me. A little sneaky. It felt like a little, that's a little, I thought it'd be a little bit lower than that. And if you want juice, you can get some with the home Patriots plus 105. Minus 125 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start with the Steelers. Talk to me about this offense. And is Jalen Warren for real? And while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and put some money down on the Patriots at home.
This is a very interesting game. I have a hard time picking who's going to win it. I mean, let's just be honest. The Steelers' defense has been junk this year. The Jets tore them up week 1. Even though they won the game. And last week against the Seahawks, JSN went off. Cooper Kupp had his first good game in 2 years, it seemed like. And Ken Walker ran for 100 yards. And Sam Darnold looked good. And this is like 2 games in a row where the Steelers' defense has given up 30-plus points. So Drake May and those guys looked pretty good last week. I don't know. But Steelers side... Rodgers, I think, is an okay play. Probably more of a quarterback 2 for me. I think I'm going to play like Russell Wilson over him. In a league, I have both of those guys. And, of course, I played Rodgers last week over Russell Wilson.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that sucked. But still won the games. I think I would play like a Russell Wilson over Rodgers. I think I would maybe play Flacco over Rodgers too, so it's probably around that range. I believe Christian Gonzalez is limited practice the first 2 days, so he should be back this week, so that's a big upgrade for the Patriots. I think you got to play DK. He's like the only option. Jalen Warren, yeah, you talked about him, man. He's been doing really good, man.
Awesome, yeah.
Receiving, the rushing's been solid. I think he's a solid RB2 every week. It kind of makes me like feel like Chuba Hubbard last year. I think Chuba's more of a bell cow than Warren is, but like you started Chuba Hubbard because Jonathan Brooks was out. They didn't really have anybody. You're like, oh, this guy sucks. But he just kept doing it every week and every week. And now look at Chuba. I think Jalen Warren is just one of those guys who's just doing it every single week. So I think RB2, if you draft him as a flex, like I think you just throw him into your flex.
Can we drop Caleb Johnson in redraft?
It's getting close. Getting real close.
It's getting close.
I want to see if maybe they give him more involved this week because they don't have him on kickoffs. But if he gets no snaps again, then yeah, it's time to go. I need that spot.
Yeah, I was able to make a pickup in one of my leagues. I can't remember who it was, but I did drop Caleb Johnson to get him. But it was one of the premier pickups of the week, so it made sense. But let's talk about the Patriots. We're going to start Drake May for sure. The receivers, we're not all that excited. I'm not excited about the receivers. I was excited about Boutte after last week. I know he caught a touchdown, so it might have salvaged your flex spot. But it was only 8 fantasy points, so I dropped him back into that wide receiver 3 range, a little bit, maybe even wide receiver 4. So I'm not all that excited, but I do want to talk about the running backs, though, because we drafted Travion to be an anchor. He has been anything but. And then last week, Ramondre's out there catching dimes, running for over 20 fantasy points. So how should we be navigating the New England Patriot backfield waters?
Yeah, so listening to, I believe it was the Underdog podcast, they brought it up that Travion was atrocious in pass blocking last week.
He had 2 penalties in like the first couple drives, yeah.
Yeah, and he like whiffed on a block and all that. So they put Ramondre in, and Ramondre's big pass catch was a play designed for Travion. But he wasn't in there because he just wasn't performing. So I think right now I'm playing Ramondre over Travion if I have them both on the same team for this week. Travion's going to have to earn it back a little bit. And right now, Ramondre has the trust of the coaches.
I'm a little down on both of them overall, but in leagues, I'm okay starting both of them. Matter of fact, in one of my leagues, I am just going to start them both because even with the bad game, Travion still had 6 points, so collectively it was about 30-something fantasy points between the two. And if it was exactly 50-50, you would take that. And if you went, without drafting, a stud running back.
Like I said, the Steelers' defense has been dog shit 2 weeks in a row.
Call.
Breece Hall tore him up. Ken Walker tore him up for 100 yards plus each game. So definitely going to throw the Rhino out there this week in like a flex spot.
All right, we're going to breeze through this next game because I think it's just fire it up. Smoke them if you got them. The 2-0 L.A. Rams head to the Philly to take on the 2-0 defending champion Eagles. The Rams are getting 3.5 points as road underdogs. Sorry, my brain shut off completely. Over under 44.5. Rams getting a little juice, plus 154. Eagles minus 185. This is one of the best football games of the weekend. One of the games I'm most excited about. But for fantasy reasons, is there really anything to discuss? We're going to play everybody, including the pass catchers on the Eagles, right? We're not giving up on them.
Yeah, I've had some debates in my head about do I play A.J. Brown this week or do I play Devontae Smith this week? Like, I'm sure they got to get going here soon, but the 2 games they played against the Rams last year, including the playoff game, Barkley he had 500 and something total yards in 2 games against the Rams, which is ridiculous. I mean, a lot of that was the big touchdown runs, but I think we're going to get a lot of Barkley. I don't know if I could trust A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, but like you said, if you don't have a better option, I think you just play them because they're your stud.
Devontae Smith or Troy Franklin this week?
Oh, man. That's where we're at in the season.
Didn't think we'd be here in week 3, brother.
No. Oh, man. I think I'll go Devontae Smith.
I am too,
close.
but it's a lot closer than I would have thought 7 calendar days ago.
Yeah.
So it's not DEFCON 1, but we are progressively getting more and more worried as it happens. And on the Rams side of things, Kyron, yes, please.
Yeah.
Both Adams and Puka, yes, please.
Yeah.
The most consolidated target share amongst wide receivers in football. You love it. You love to see it. It is super fantasy friendly.
Yeah.
What I will ask you real quick, give me a sentence on Blake Corum after getting double-digit fantasy points last week.
Yeah, I think he's definitely earned the backup role, and they talked about it after the game with McVay that this is what I want. I want it to be more 65-35, with my running back. So expect more of this going forward, and I think, Cora might get a drive or two to himself during the games.
Love it. New York Jets, they're 0-2, and they're going to be playing without Justin Fields. They travel to Florida to take on the 2-0 Buccaneers. Jets getting a touchdown on the road, over under 43.5. Moneyline Jets plus 260. Bucks minus 325. I mentioned no Justin Fields, so it's Tyrod Taylor. So what does that mean for this offense, and how much are we doxing Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall?
Yeah, this is sneaky because I could see, Tyrod doesn't turn the ball over. He's very, good, keeping the football and all that. So I kind of like the Jets with the 7.5 a little bit there, but I don't think Tyrod's a terrible play this week as like a quarterback too, if you need to, just because of his rushing upside. I definitely think Garrett Wilson should be a really good play this week. I'm not scared of the Bucs secondary at all, and if Tyrod's gonna throw, it's gonna be to Garrett Wilson. Like there's nobody else I even trust on that offense. So Garrett Wilson, definitely fire him up. Got to play Breece Hall. Like it is a little bit of a tougher matchup with Vita Vea and those guys up front, but I think you still got to play Breece Hall.
Yeah, we saw Nick Chubb score a touchdown against this
Right.
defense
Yeah.
last week.
I mean, I'm not expecting 100 yards, but
Right, but can he get you 5 catches and 100 total yards from scrimmage? I think
Yeah,
that's
I
on
think
the
so,
table
yeah.
for sure. Maybe
Yep.
a touchdown. I got Breece Hall in my top 10. I'm not fading him at all. Garrett Wilson, I have him lower than I have ranked him, but it's still wide receiver 17. We're not getting away
Yeah.
from it. Ty God about to do his thing. On the Buccaneers side, okay, we're playing Baker, we're playing Evans, we're playing Bucky. Signed, sealed, delivered. Nothing really to discuss. They're studs in fantasy. Egbuka, though, has been banged up. Missed practice early this week. We're hoping to see him practice later in the week. How are you playing the Egbuka situation if you've been relying on him? And give me a name that you might have on the back burner just in case you're doing a late sub.
So he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday, so that's not great. Friday, if he gets a limited in, I'm definitely worried still. If he's a full on Friday, I'm good with it. Let's roll with Ibuka. But if he gets a limited tomorrow, and we get some news that it's kind of shaky, then I'm probably gonna pivot off of him. Are you talking about like sneaky guys on their team?
Yeah, and anyone that, this is a 1 o'clock game, so you need to kind of might need to make the decision early, which is a good thing, right? When you get
Yeah, like I don't hate Sterling Shepard. Like he's been pretty solid for them. Like
he's
I'm
been
not
on the
trusting.
field a ton.
Yeah, I'm not trusting Ryan Miller. I'm not trusting Tez Johnson or any of those guys. I would trust Sterling Shepard if there's just nobody to pick up, and Ibuka sits out. Shepard's been in there. Him and Baker have chemistry going back to Oklahoma days, so that's a long time ago. Yeah, so I don't mind Sterling Shepard if you have to play him. I think Cade Otton could be a sneaky play if
good call.
Ibuka were to miss. Like when it was like one of those guys out last year, like Godwin or Evans and all that, like Cade Otton really stepped up. He was doing like 8 for 88 and a touchdown. So I think if Ibuka misses, Cade Otton could be the guy that is a good play this week.
Good call on Cade Otton. All right, let's talk about an AFC South battle here. The 2-0 Indianapolis Colts head to Tennessee to take on the 0-2 Titans. Colts are giving 4.5 points as road favorites. Over under 43.5. Colts minus 205. Titans plus 170. The Colts have been awesome so far 2 weeks in. Are they this year's Saints, though? Remember the Saints in 24, how good that came out.
They smashed, yeah, and then they lost like 6 straight. I think they're playing really good ball right now, and the Titans aren't. So I think this is probably a pretty easy Colts win. I kind of like the under, though. I don't see the Titans putting up a ton of points, and I could see the Colts on the road, away from the dome, all that stuff. Like they might not score as much too. So I kind of like the under. I think Daniel Jones is a really good play. Like if you're missing your Joe Burrow, you're missing Brock Purdy, Jaden Daniels might not play. Like if you have to pick up somebody, Daniel Jones is a solid pickup. Jonathan Taylor, he's got to be top 3 this week. That dude's been amazing. I'm going to play Michael Pittman for sure. I just don't see any other receivers I want to play. Tyler Warren's a smash start. But like Josh Downs, I know people have liked him this year. I don't see this game being a shootout game to where the Colts are playing from behind and having to do 3 wide receiver sets. So that just limits Josh Downs. So I'm not playing Josh Downs this week.
No, he's outside of my top 50 at wide receiver. And on the Tennessee side of things, they really haven't gotten going by any stretch. Tony Pollard's been decent on volume, but we haven't seen much Ridley. Cam Ward really hasn't really put up big numbers, but we have seen Eluk Ao Manor have not a breakout game, but a double-digit game with a touchdown. So let's talk about the Titans offense. Are we just going to keep starting Tony Pollard as a running back too?
Yeah, I think he's just like, the Chuba Hubbard of last year, like I was talking about. I think you just got to play him. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Tony Pollard for sure. And then, wide receiver-wise, I think you got to play Calvin Ridley. This is probably Calvin Ridley's best matchup that he's had this year. He's gone up against the Rams and the Broncos the first 2 weeks. So I think this is the get-right week for Calvin Ridley against the Colts. Ao Manor, I don't mind it. That's a solid flex play. So, yeah, that's probably where I'm at with them.
Ao Manor or Darnell Mooney?
I like the Falcons matchup a little bit better, so I'm going to go Mooney.
All right. All right, let's move on to the next game then. Las Vegas Raiders 1-1. They head to the nation's capital to take on the 1-1 Commanders. Commanders giving 3.5 points at home. 44.5 over-under. Raiders getting a little bit of juice, plus 45 in the money line, and minus 175 for the Commanders. We'll start with the Raiders side of things. Pretty decent fantasy week 1. Pretty terrible fantasy week 2. Are we worried about this Raiders team, and how do we see that kind of playing out week 3?
Yeah, that one shocked me. I did not stay up to even watch any of that game because I had to work.
Asleep.
Yeah, I was asleep, so I did not wake up and watch that game at all. And I was pretty stunned when I walked up because I'm pretty sure I told everybody, man, I like Geno this week as like a good play at home, first home game, and they completely shit the bed. So I don't know what happened there. I mean, the Chargers are definitely have a really good defense, so I think that had a little bit to do with it. But this is Washington's defense. I don't think they're as good as, maybe of what they've played so far. So I don't mind if you have to start Geno. I had Geno as my backup in a bunch of leagues, and I had, for Jaden Daniels and Brock Purdy and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to play Geno a lot this week, and I'm okay with it. Like, Jacoby Myers has done really good. Brock Bowers made it through the game, no injuries. Like, he didn't re-injure the knee or anything. Didn't kill it, but he's still Brock Bowers. Ashton Genty hasn't been like fantasy stud, but he's getting there, man. Like it's gonna happen here eventually. I think they just got to block better and all that. So yeah, I'm playing most of my Raiders this week.
Yeah, I just feel like you can't really get away from them because they're talented enough. And then you look at the Commanders' defense. Was it the Giants that they dominated, or are they good?
No, they
I'm
played.
with you. I'm not panicking.
Yeah, Giants and Packers.
The Packers did the nasty with them last Thursday night. I mean, they just basically had their way with them. But let's talk about the Commanders side of things. Let's start, of course, with the most important part of this entire game, I would say, is Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels dealing with a little bit of a knee injury. Didn't practice Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday, but the report was always that they were going to keep him out till Friday. Yeah. So we'll find out what the report is Friday. But this is a stat that I wanted to bring up about Jaden Daniels because it's kind of like which side do you take in here? So Jaden Daniels has not been good against the blitz. He's completed about 32% of his passes against the blitz, which is the lowest in football 2 weeks in. But then on the Raiders side of the ball, other than Max Crosby, they're really not good at attacking the quarterback. They aren't really a good team that when utilizing the blitz. So is this the week that let's start with, is Jaden going to play in your opinion? And if he does, is he going to be able to handle the pass rush of the Raiders and get those numbers up against the blitz?
I truly don't know about Jaden Daniels. I don't have a feeling either way, to be honest with you. So we're just going to have to wait for the Friday practice report. If it's full, he's probably playing. If it's limited, have to wait to see what Schefter and Rappaport say, basically. If not, I think Marcus Mariota is not a terrible play either. Like he can run the ball a little bit. He can run that offense. He's been in it all of last year, so it's not like he's brand new to it. He did start a game late in the year last year as well. So yeah, I think Mariota would be an okay play if you had to pivot to him. Man, I think we didn't really talk about it, but Eckler's out for the year. So all we got is Krosky Merritt. We got Jeremy McNichols, who's been dealing with some injuries as well, but seems like he'll play. And then Chris Rodriguez, who's been inactive the first 2 weeks, he's going to now be up. So do they give the full workload to Bill? What do you think?
I think Bill gets most of the workload. Yep.
Yeah.
I do think the reports out of camp was that Chris Rodriguez was going to be utilized more in the short game. He was inactive. So I do think he handles a little bit of the short game. I do believe this is what I will say about all the Bill people listening, because there's a lot of Bill fans out there in the fantasy world.
Yeah.
If Jaden doesn't play, temper your expectations on Bill, because I think we see a three-headed monster. I think we see a slower-paced attack. I don't think it's going to be as exciting for Bill. I don't have him ranked all that favorably this week because I'm not exactly sure about Jaden. But if Jaden plays, I'm going to play him as a running back too this week. The thing about the running back landscape, though, is it's pretty saturated right now. We haven't seen a lot of injuries, and we've seen a lot of players play well. So so far, 2 weeks in, the running back position has been every bit of exciting as it was in 2024.
Here's my biggest fear for this week for them is McNichols is the third down back, passing back. He gets all the receiving work. We get into the red zone, 10-yard line or whatever, short yardage, and Rodriguez is in there, and Krosky Merritt gets like all the stuff between the 20s and is just a bunch of empty points. That's kind of what my fear is, like, kind of going forward. But hopefully, he can just bust off some big runs.
Yeah, we saw it in week 1, so I'm hoping to see it. Yeah. And as far as the pass catchers go, even though Terry McLaurin's been disappointing, you're still playing him. You're not going to have him on your bench when
he's
he
been
breaks
close
out.
to a big one, yeah.
Exactly.
Debo's been great, and Zach Ertz is like tight end 3. You're playing all 3 of those guys easy.
Yeah, Zach Ertz has been fantastic. I'm at tight end 6 this week. All right, let's move on to the next game here. The 1-1 Denver Broncos take on the divisional foes, and they go to Los Angeles to take on the 2-0 Chargers. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites at home, over under 45.5. Broncos are getting 130 on the money line, a little bit of juice, and the Chargers are minus 155. Let's start with the visiting Broncos. Bo Nix, so good in 2024. We're still kind of waiting for that big game in 2025. Does it come this week?
Man, the Chargers defense has been really good. I think this could be game of the week, though, for sure. Not points-wise, but just as like a football. Like, this is just going to be a really good, down-to-the-wire, close game for sure. So, I really like Bo Nix. I think he's been solid. Is he going to have like 3 touchdowns? I think that's a little iffy, but I think he can get you there. Like, I don't hate him this week. He's probably more of a top quarterback too for me this week. I'm sure you probably have like 14, 15, somewhere in that range.
No, I have him pretty high up there. I have him at 7.
Okay.
But I am battling back and forth because based on what I've seen these first 2 weeks, this game would be a lot of fun with a lot of points. But based on how these two coaches know how to win tough-fought divisional games, this could be the week where it comes to a screeching halt, and there's just a lot of running, a lot of good defensive play. So I haven't figured it out yet. But I would say for me right now, the floor is probably about 15. So I don't see him going any lower than back-end QB2, just outside QB2 range.
So I agree with you on a lot of that. I'm playing Dobbins as like a RB2. I'm sitting Harvey in a couple spots.
Yep.
I don't think you can play him right now.
You can't.
Sutton, I'm still going to stick with. Troy Franklin, I think, is a solid flex play. Marvin Mims is probably on my bench. Evan
Super
Ingram,
deep flex at best.
Yeah, Evan Ingram, I think, has got to be on your bench, too. He's not getting the usage we thought he was going to get. Definitely playing like the Juwan Johnsons over him. I'd play Hunter Henry over him. Those type of players.
Definitely. Let me ask you a tough question. One that I did not imagine asking you in week 3. Would you play R.J. Harvey or Kareem Hunt?
I think I'm going Kareem Hunt.
Me too. I got to rank 2 spots higher. That's just where we are, folks. That is just
Yep.
where we are in fantasy football. Yeah, Broncos, I agree with you on what you're saying here. Franklin, I mean, he's been pretty undeniable. The connection goes way, way back, so it was maybe inevitable. We'll see.
I think,
Let's talk about.
Chargers.
Oh, go ahead.
I was
No,
going to say
keep
Chargers,
going, keep
I
going.
think you're playing Herbie. He's been the hottest quarterback in the league.
Yep.
I'm not playing Hampton. I've sat him in a couple spots.
That's what I was going to ask you. That's where I wanted to go with this. Talk to me about Hampton. So you're completely away from Hampton?
Yeah,
need
I like
good
unless I
alternatives?
I'm like flex play at best. Najee Harris probably in the same boat, flex play at best. Wide receiver wise, I think you're playing Lad McConkey, who practiced in full today, so he's good to go. I could see, if McConkey's in the slot, I could see Keenan Allen getting Patrick Surtain a little bit, so that could be interesting. So that might slow down Keenan Allen a little bit. So I'm still gonna play Keenan Allen, but I'm lowering my expectations a little bit. I mean, QJ's been really good too. It's kind of hard not to play him as like a flex play. Probably where you have him. So, and then any of the tight ends, you can't play any of the tight ends.
Completely agree. Another question, and I just love asking these questions because it's going to make people rip their hair out there. Are you playing Amarian Hampton or Ramondre Stevenson?
Give me the Rhino.
Yeah, I
Give me the
cannot
Rhino.
believe the questions we're having to ask ourselves already in the fantasy football season.
And you got to do this stuff because if you don't, you're going to lose your games. Like,
That's correct. And you need to win. I know
got it,
everyone
yeah.
talks about the future because Dynasty, we talk a lot of Dynasty at South
Right.
Harmon. So we are all Dynasty, I think, in our hearts. So we always think big picture, always think process, always think these things. But in redraft, sometimes you have to go, if he's the best running back in football at Thanksgiving, but I'm 0-4 and I missed the playoffs because I lost those 4 games, you got to make these tough decisions, folks. You got to make these ugly, tough decisions. That's a great point you brought up there.
yeah,
right.
it's going to be an interesting game. Probably one of the games I want to watch the most this week.
Definitely going to be a great game. I think what happens this game is going to get us so much more excited when it's in Mile High later on in the season. I think seeing that is going to really, really excite everybody. All right, a game that's probably not so exciting. 0-2 New Orleans Saints go to the Pacific Northwest to take on the 1-1 Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks, 7.5-point home favorites. Over under 41.5. Money line 2.95 on the plus side for the Saints, minus 375 for the Seahawks. Saints, just give me a quick rundown because I think we kind of know where we're going here.
Yeah, I mean, they've played a lot better than a lot of people have thought this year. Like, their games have all been pretty close. So, I think this is going to be a bad Spencer Rattler game, like on the road in Seattle with that crowd noise. I just don't see it working very well for him. So, not on Spencer Rattler. I think you got to play Kamara, but I'm expecting more of like a low-end RB2 performance for me, unless he gets a ton of catches. He finally got like 6 targets, 6 catches last week. But the first week was not it. Olave, Shaheed, you got to play those guys. They're getting double-digit targets. Jawan Johnson, you got to play. I don't know how true it is, but if you look on Sleeper, it says Seattle's 32nd against tight ends, so he's got the green matchup. So I love seeing that. I think that's all you can play from the Saints.
Well, Kittle dominated them in week 1, and I think across all 3 tight ends, Freiermuth, Jonnu, Denzel Washington caught a 2-point conversion, I think it was. So I think they gave up collectively to tight end. So Juwan Johnson, you going back to, I got him as a top 10 play. Definitely going to play him there. On the Seattle side of things, it was Charbonnet in week 1. It was Walker in week 2. What's it going to be in week 3? And also, question on top of a question, can you just play them both?
Yeah, so I made that mistake this past week. I started Charbonnet over Walker in a home league, and that didn't work out very well for me. Yeah, still won the game. How about this? I had Derrick Henry and Charbonnet as my 2 running backs. I think they combined for like 3.4 points.
Well, who carried the load?
I had Bo Nix. I had God. Who else did I have that really? I had Baltimore's defense. I had Brandon Aubrey.
Special teams and defense, baby.
Yeah, I'd have to pull it up. I forget that whole line. Oh, CD Lamb.
Okay,
A couple of those guys. So yeah, they did good for me. But yeah, I think this week you got to play Walker. Charbonnet is on the injury report with a foot injury. I don't think he's practiced maybe the first 2 days. I didn't see today. But I'm definitely gonna fire up Ken Walker in this one. JSN has been a top 12 wide receiver on targets alone, so I'm going JSN up there for sure. Cooper Kupp. I don't know if it's gonna be a game where they're gonna have to throw a ton. So I'm not like in love with Cooper Kupp, but if you believe in the last week's stats, then yeah, go for it. And then yeah, you can't play any really of the tight ends.
Yeah, I got Cup at wide receiver 41. I think it's just like
probably
if there's
right,
if it's a slugfest of any kind or a catch up, yeah. But right now, it's JSN. He's just been unreal for that Seattle team.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about the game. The next game. Come on, fantasy gods, please have it be the Bonanza because it could be so much fun. The 1-1 Dallas Cowboys go to Chicago to play the 0-2 Bears. Bears getting a 1.5 at home, over under 50.5.
Wow.
Oh, give it to me. Both. Yes. There's no juice here on the money line. Minus 102 for the Bears, minus 118 for the Cowboys, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. Is it just play everybody? Are we going to get it, Eric? Tell me we're going to get the Bonanza.
Whenever we think it never happens. So
I know. Let's say no. This game's going to suck.
Yeah.
Let's say
I'm firing up Dakota. I'm firing up. I have some reservations about Javonte this week. Like, I don't think he can run this hot every single week. Like, there's going to be a week where he gets shut down a little bit, but I understand you probably can't sit him just the way he's played the last 2 weeks. I think he's like third in fantasy points at running back this year.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can't sit him. But I would just lower my expectations. CD, I'm firing up. George Pickens, I'm firing up. Jake Ferguson, I'm firing up. So, yeah, I'm good on those guys.
My hot take of the week, I'm going to say it. It's going to bite me in the ass. But right now, I got Dak Prescott at QB3 this week.
I hope so. I got a lot of Dak.
Me likey. But let's talk about the Bears. Hasn't looked good. But when you look at it from a fantasy sense, it hasn't been across the board. But we've gotten some good fantasy production from the Bears.
Yeah, we definitely got a lot of garbage time last week. Rome had a big week, so
monster game.
Yeah, I mean Russell Wilson just cooked Dallas's secondary. So yeah, I think Caleb's gonna have some shots this week to really make some plays here. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think this is gonna be a higher scoring game. So I'm gonna fire up Caleb. I think DeAndre Swift's a solid RB2 in this game. They really don't have any other running backs worth a fuck. Mm-hmm. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, firing those guys up. That's probably it though. Like you can't trust Burden. I can't trust Loveland, who didn't even have a target. Komet like doubled him in snaps last week. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trusting any of those guys. But yeah, fire me up some DJ Moore and Rome and Caleb.
Dak at QB3. I got Caleb at QB4.
All right. Well, hopefully it's a bonanza this week, I'm sure start sit you'll be recommending those guys for sure.
I'm gonna be pretty high on it because it even though Caleb has not looked good from a fan sense, and I do feel for your Bears fans, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It's QB10 on the week. He's put 20 points up both weeks in most scoring formats. He's running. He's scoring on the ground. He's getting touchdowns. You got Rome 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's not been all bad for fantasy when it comes to Caleb Williams. So I'm hoping that this is the week where we go, yeah, baby, you needed this game if you wanted to win in DFS. You needed these guys if you wanted to win your Week 3 matchup. So I'm hoping it's a start if you get them. I also love that it's at 425. That it's at 425 because when
that'll
we look at the 425
Fox main
slate,
game. Yeah,
it'll be the Fox main game here in most places in the country. You know, and you got Denver and LA that could be a snooze fest in terms of just a defensive matchup. We don't care about Saints, Seahawks. It could be all Dallas, Chicago in the 4 o'clock slate. But we got one more game. Wait,
I love the 4 games on Red Zone at 4 o'clock. It's just perfect. But yeah, go ahead.
Football. The last game in the 4 o'clock hour Eastern Standard Time. 2-0 Arizona Cardinals head to the Yay area to take on the 2-0 49ers. 49ers are 3-point favorites at home. Over under 45.5. Sneaky high number. But the Cardinals are getting 136 juice on the road. Niners minus 162. Let's start with the Cardinals. Kyler, good game, bad game. Are we playing him with confidence? Where do you have him kind of in your ranks this week?
I think this is going to be a close game. Usually division opponents are a really close game, and this is a big game for the Cardinals. Honestly, like if they have aspirations of winning this division this year, they got to win this game, or be really damn close to it. So, with that being said, though, I don't love Kyler in this matchup. I think 49ers defense has been playing pretty good. They, obviously have seen what Kyler has done, over the years here. So
Right.
I don't have very high expectations on this one. He would probably be more of a very low end quarterback 1 to quarterback 2 for me. James Conner, I definitely got to play. Even though Marv didn't do good last week, I think they're going to need him this week. So I'm definitely firing up Marv, and I'm firing up McBride. That's probably it for the Cardinals side.
Yeah, and one thing about Kyler, too, that's getting a little bit frustrating, I'll say, is he's been okay on the ground rushing, but he has only, both the games this year, under 50 yards rushing. And then even you go back to last year, Week 18, 22 yards rushing. Week 17, 32 yards rushing. 63 in Week 16, but 11, 16 the 2 weeks before that. He just really hasn't been running all that much.
Yeah, I mean, you do notice it with these quarterbacks as they get older. Like they just they stop running. Like if I told you this, Russell Wilson is in the top 5 for rushing yards per quarterback in NFL history, would you believe that?
Yes.
He's actually like in the top 5 for rushing yards for a quarterback
because he always kind of scampers up. Yeah.
Yeah, like when he was early on in his career, he was running for 600, 700 yards, and now it's like he barely probably get 20.
Yeah. But on the San Francisco side of things, CMC just the gift that the fantasy gods keep giving. If he's on the field, he's just got to be running back 1 in the week. You can't rank him anywhere else if he's healthy.
Yep.
He's just a freaking stud.
Yep. I don't know if it's going to be Purdy or Mac this week. It sounded like Purdy was giving it a go, and Shanahan's leaving the door open, so I honestly don't know there. I think either quarterback, though, is going to, probably play pretty decent. I think it's, like I said, it's going to be a closer game, so I still trust Pearsall. I still trust Jennings. I'm going to play those guys and play McCaffrey, but after that, I'm not playing anybody.
Let's talk about a couple of primetime games. We'll start with Sunday Night Football. The 0-2 Chiefs head to the Big Apple to take on the 0-2 New York Football Giants. Giants are getting 6 points as home underdogs, 45.5 over-under. Chiefs minus 325, Giants plus 260. Let's start on the Chiefs side of things. Patrick Mahomes is the leading rusher on this team, so we're playing Patrick Mahomes. We're going back to the Patrick Mahomes well, right?
Yeah, Mahomes, I think you play. He usually does pretty good in primetime games, so yeah, give me Mahomes.
Running backs, though. Isaiah Pacheco,
Bench.
Kareem Hunt. You're benching. I got him at what, running back 37, running back 38. I don't.
Yeah, I think I bench Pacheco everywhere. I think this is a Kareem Hunt game. I don't know if he gets the start, but I think he gets more carries than that. Like Pacheco just hasn't done anything. There's also been some stuff reported in The Athletic that maybe Brashard Smith's going to get a shot here to get some more run too. So I think that's another possibility, but I'm not starting Brashard Smith.
Yeah, the efficiency's been absolute dog shit on that side, in terms of rushing. So it would make sense to try anybody. Hollywood Brown he's seeing a lot of targets, but he's just not really doing a ton with it. What do you got for Hollywood Brown this week? Are you going back to him? You play him as a flex or wide receiver 2? What do you got?
I think I'm gonna play Hollywood for sure. This secondary just got beat up a little bit by Dallas. So yeah, I'm gonna play Hollywood this week. I think Juju's like a flex play. Tyquan Thornton, same thing, flex play. I think Kelsey, you got to play him if you have him, but I'm not expecting 6 for 100 from Kelsey or anything like that.
And on the Giants side of things, Russell Wilson, massive game in week 2. Yep. If you lost Joe Burrow and he's out there, are you going to play him over the Jake Brownings, Joe Flacco's, Tyrod Taylor's, all the replacements out there? Are you starting Russell Wilson above all of them?
I kind of like the Giants in this game with the points. Like
It's a lot. They're
it's
getting a lot.
they're getting a lot. The Chiefs have not played good football at all. And it's in New York, prime time. Neighbors and Wandale just fucking torch Dallas. And the way to beat the Chiefs right now is passing the ball. Like they're still pretty solid at stopping the run. So I don't think like I've got to play Scatabo in a couple spots this week. Tracy's on my bench. Scatabo would be the one I would start. So I don't like love it, but I think Scatabo can maybe PPR scam it and get you some, like 4 or 5 catches for some yards. But yeah, I could see Neighbors having a big game. Wandale, a Darius Slayton sighting, Theo Johnson sighting. So I think I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson to answer your question over like the Brownings, the Wentz, Flacco's, stuff like that.
Yeah, I got Neighbors at wide receiver 1 this week. The Chiefs,
I love it.
their best cornerback right now is still Trent McDuffie, and his best, where he services the best, is in the middle part of the field. So
Yeah, Christian Fulton is out, I believe. He
Yep.
got injured again last week, so he's out. And I mean the Chargers tore him up. Shit, who'd they play last week?
last week lost to the Eagles. They didn't get torn
The
up
Eagles.
in the
Oh yeah,
passing
yeah,
game,
yeah.
but they didn't need
definitely.
to.
They didn't need to, right? But yeah, I mean, just Russell Wilson throwing moon balls. Yeah, I like the Giants in this one.
Plus, the Giants are backs against the corner. They're 0-2. They don't give a fuck. They're in IDGAF mode all day, every
Yeah.
day. They're ready to just
Yeah,
get
I mean the
crazy.
Chiefs need to win this game bad.
bad.
They can't
bad,
go to
bad,
0
bad,
and
bad.
3. Yeah.
No, and their schedule doesn't really lighten up. So
Yeah.
they need to get some wins quick. I am playing Wandell. I got him at wide receiver 31. So I am
like
playing
that.
him. I'm just not getting too crazy. Some of the names I will start over him that might be what the decisions are. I'm still playing T. Higgins, still playing Jacoby Myers, still playing George Pickens, still playing Lad McConkey over Wandell.
Yeah.
So we like him. We don't love him, but we are going to get him in those flex spots. Let's talk about the Monday Night Football game. It feels like we could literally wrap it up in a sentence because the 1-1 Detroit Lions head to Baltimore to take on the 1-1 Ravens. Lions getting 4.5 points on the road. Over under 53.5. Yeah, baby. And the Lions are getting a little bit of juice. Plus 190 in the money line, minus 230 for the Ravens. Is it just a checklist of yes, 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 yes? Desperate play, desperate play, desperate play. Just fire it up.
Yeah, I would say I'm going to play Goff for sure. I could see Goff struggling a little bit in this one, but because it is on the road, on grass, all that stuff, all that narrative. But I think he'll be fine. I'm playing Amon-Ra, I'm playing J-Mo, playing Laporta, playing Gibbs. I think Monty's a solid RB2, so I
can
play
score.
all those guys, yeah.
Yeah, and on the Ravens side, Lamar. I mean, we
Stud.
don't have to talk about it. Derek, we ain't talking. Zay's
Yeah.
been awesome.
Yeah,
And we
those
talked
three
about
are
it earlier in
start.
the show. We're not playing Mark Andrews. Miss me with Mark Andrews right now. No way.
Yeah,
No way.
likely might come back this week. He's started to
Yep.
practice again, so that's just going to muddy that. How about the one that I thought was going to be solid this year has been absolute dog shit is Rashad Bateman. He needs to be on a milk carton. Where is he? We got Tylan Wallace and Devontae Walker catching touchdowns out here.
And D-Hop has 2 touchdowns in 2
Yeah.
games. I mean, D-Hop ain't going anywhere. That means Rashad Bateman, for me, is he's droppable in redraft for me. I have no
Yeah.
I have no issues dropping him. I have a wide receiver 59 this week. I mean, he's in the same range as Hunter Renfrow, Dontavian Wicks, Diami Brown. Like, those are
Same.
roster cloggers in most formats. I mean, our 12-team, 10-teamers, those guys aren't rostered.
Yeah, I mean, so you're only starting 3 Ravens. You're starting Lamar. You're starting Henry. You're starting Zay. I don't think you start anybody else.
Yeah, and that is all you need in
Yeah.
fantasy football. Those 3 guys are so far 2 weeks in. And me and Eric, we're all you need in terms of getting through your weekly slate. That's the episode, the walkthrough, week 3, each and every game on the slate. Eric, tell the people listening where they can find you.
Yeah, you can follow me at Eric Vanek NFL on X, at America's Game Pod on X as well for the show. Sunday, start sit show. Me and Matty will be on there. I believe Mike will be on there. Not sure who our fourth's going to be. Oh, T-Rock should be back. So we'll have our 4 guys on there this weekend. So yes, Sunday, 12 noon Eastern. Come join us right here on the same YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll be back on Sunday to do the Start Sit Show. A lot of fun always doing that with you guys.
At Eric Vanek NFL, at Matty Kiwoom on X. Hit us up and make sure you, like you said, smash the likes. Follow South Harmon Fantasy Channel and leave a comment. Who are your favorite starts? Who are your favorite sleepers for the Week 3 slate? We will see you next week for the Week 4 slate. Peace.
Welcome to the walkthrough.